What's up guys, and welcome back to Working Aussies Homestead. Today we are going to do a very requested video. We are actually going to be inside today and we're going to be baking. We're going to be going over our sourdough pizza crust recipe with you guys and looking forward to share that with you. So if you are ready to get started, go ahead and grab your sourdough starter and we're going to start baking. Alright, so if you guys have a sourdough starter, now is the time to go ahead and feed it. You are going to want to feed it enough that you're going to get 200 grams of starter to add to this recipe. Or if you're looking to grab one, we do have a dehydrated sourdough starter on our website. You can check that out over at workingaussieshomestead.com, or I will leave a link in the description below so you can go ahead and grab yourself one. And within about a week, you should be ready to basically start baking with it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get this recipe started. It is a super simple recipe and you'll be able to do everything that we're doing today in the same day. Now before we get started, I do want to say one more thing. I have gone ahead and measured out all of my ingredients so far, but I highly recommend, if you are just getting started, go ahead and grab yourselves one of these. This is just a normal kitchen scale, and we do a lot of our sourdough recipes and everything in grams, so it is good to have the ability to measure everything out and make things more accurate for yourself. You can use cups, ounces, and measurements like that, but it is a little bit harder compared to if you're using the gram system or the kilogram system. So go ahead and grab yourself a kitchen scale. You'll save yourself a ton of time and make yourself just a little less stressed out. Alright, so we're gonna grab our big bowl here and we're gonna take 500 grams of bread flour. We're going to take 280 grams of water, 13 grams of olive oil, and we're just going to mix that up using our hand. It's going to get a little messy, but don't worry about that. You're just gonna knead the dough and make sure that every ounce of this is getting mixed in with the water. You're gonna peel it off your hands if it's sticking to your fingers. You could at this point dip your hands in some water to help you keep the dough off your hands, but it's a little bit inevitable at this point, so I don't worry about it that much. At this point, if you don't have a bowl scraper or anything like that, you don't need it, but I'm going to make sure that I get as much off the sides as I can, so that way I can incorporate everything effectively. At this point, you're just going to be folding your dough over on itself, and you're going to be feeling around and making sure you don't have any big clumps of unmixed flour in here, because that's really not going to work well for you later. So take your time, feel around, and really get this thing mixed well together. Once you get this dough mixed together, you're just going to bring it into a nice tight ball and put it back in your bowl and cover it. Now we're going to leave this covered for the next 30 minutes and let everything set, and then what we'll come back and do is we'll add our sourdough starter and our salt, and then we'll let that sit for about 5 hours. So we'll see you in about 30 minutes. Alright, so it's been about 30 minutes or so. We're going to go ahead and take this off the dough, and it'll look similar to this when you are ready to go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add our sourdough starter and our salt to the recipe. And then we're going to mix that in for about 15 minutes, and then we'll let this sit on the counter for an extended period of time. So this is going to be our sourdough starter that we're using. We're using our Josie starter, and we're using 200 grams of starter in our dough. And to help this sit a little bit better on top, instead of just pouring it right on top of this dough, we're actually going to dimpling the dough like this will hopefully help us get everything mixed in very, very well. And all you're going to do is just try to feel around and make sure that everything is getting mixed in very well, because you don't want any extra spots where you have a ton of starter and then you have some spots where you have no starter. So mix this in really well, spend a good 15 minutes getting this all mixed in, and then we'll show you what the final result will look like. I'm I'm going ahead and adding my sourdough starter here. You're just going to put it right on top, and then after that what I'm going to do is put my salt on top of that, and you're just going to start working this into your dough. I'm also going to grab a bowl of water so that way I can wet my hands and make this a little bit easier. If you really wanted to, you could keep this all in the bowl and not take it out on the counter like I'm doing here, but I'm doing what is called a slap and fold method here, and basically all that I'm doing here is I am strengthening the gluten proteins in the dough. By extending the mix, we are developing the gluten and developing the overall strength of the dough. During this process, we are creating a web of gluten that is allowing your dough to become stronger. So the more you work with it, the stronger your dough will be. Once you've gotten this thing all mixed together, we are going to bring it back together in a really nice tight ball and put it back into our bowl once again and cover it with our towel. Alright, now once you've gotten this all done and it is smooth like it was when we finished, you're going to put the towel back over like we did and basically let this sit on the counter for about 4 to 6 hours. Looking at it, checking out for bubbles, making sure it is not going down. The ideal look that you're want to do is it's going to be rising and the corners are going to be curving away from the bowl. Now if you are in a colder climate where it does not get to a constant, say 76 degrees, which is what we're trying to shoot for the end temperature of this dough, you can throw it in a oven with the oven light on for that remainder of time, about 4 to 6 hours, and you should get plenty of growth out of this dough. That's actually what I'm going to be doing because the temperature is fluctuating outside today and it's a little bit lower than I want it to be. So I'm going to throw it in my oven and then we're going to come back in about 4 to 6 hours and I'm going to show you the rest of the process to finish up this dough. Alright, it's time to make the actual pizza dough crust. We have let this dough sit in the oven with the light on, and you can see it has massively doubled, if not tripled in size. So now we need to make individual dough balls and go ahead and flatten them out and get them ready for the oven. We're over here cooking some kuni sausage, and we're gonna put that on top with some cheese that we do have from the store. We're gonna be making our own pizza sauce, so let's jump right into it, finish up these dough balls and get them out on the counter. So once you're ready to separate, you're just gonna put your dough out on the counter, lightly dust the surface with some flour. Now we're going to separate this dough into 4 equal parts, and each part should weigh somewhere around 250 grams. Once you have your dough balls separated, you're just going to be tightening them up, and what we're going to do for this is we're just going to pull the dough towards us using our pinkies and get them nice and tight, and then we're going to let them sit on the counter. Alright, so now we're going to let these dough balls proof. Typically you want them to proof around 30 minutes. We're going to let them proof for the amount of time it takes us to do the rest of the ingredients, which is probably going to be about 30 minutes or so. And then we are going to start flattening them out and getting them in the oven. And then that's it, guys. That's going to be your pizza dough crust. It's time to flatten everything out and get it ready for the oven. Are you ready for some pizza? Because you,
yes,
you look like
starving.
You look like you're starving.
I'm about to eat you.
Man. So she's hungry, obviously. So we're gonna flatten these out, get them in the oven, make some pizza, and we'll talk with you at the end of this video.
Five minutes later.
Alright guys, I think that's going to be a wrap for this video. This pizza turned out amazing. It's going to be phenomenal. This is another one that we did earlier tonight. It's just going to look and taste. Mwah! If you guys like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it with somebody who's looking for some amazing pizza dough. If you want to share your journey with us, make sure that you use the hashtag right here. If you're going to put it on Instagram or anything, let us know how it turned out for you. Leave us a comment. And until next time, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.